Good morning. I would love to start this meeting in person to order March 1st, 2023. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meeting of public bodies at which the business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the State Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted in the Department of Education, the Secretary of State's office, and notice has been given to the State House Press Corps, the Governor's office, and the State Board agenda subscribers. And as a quorum is present, this meeting will now come to order. May I please have a motion? If you could do so, please.
So moved.
Thank you very much. Past President Aponte has given a motion. May I please have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Vice President Mulvihill has given a second. If we could indicate all those in favor by raising your right hand, that'd be awesome, please. Tremendous. Thank you. And now, I would like to read a statement to adjourn to executive session. Whereas, in order to protect the personal privacy and to avoid situations wherein the public interest might be disturbed, the Open Public Meetings Act permits public bodies to exclude the public from that portion of a meeting at which certain matters are discussed. Now, therefore, be it resolved that consistent with the provision of NJSA 10:4-12B, the State Board of Education will now adjourn to executive session to discuss personnel and legal matters. May I please have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Board Member Sylvia. May I please have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Board Member Berry has seconded it. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. It's unanimous. We will now go into executive session. All those please on this remote hybrid locations, if you could please turn off your microphones unless you're doing sound checks and they ask you to do otherwise. But while we're in executive, thank you. And your camera. Bye-bye. Jack, are you able to unmute?
Okay, you just started coming through. Now you're back off again.
So we don't have a quorum. Ron, can you hear us now?
Right there. You just came back. You keep coming in and out.
All right, can you raise your hands and let us know that you adjourn from executive session, please? All right, Kathy, you may proceed. Okay, thank you. I think if the people at the front turn off their mics, maybe. It is. Okay. It is. Thank you. All right, so I want to welcome you all back. Good morning. I'm in stereo for your pleasure today. Chris Huber and Dr. Bunt and Diane Schoner, Stephanie Russo, Beth Auer. All right. Board member, can you hear me?
Thumbs up.
All right. So all those in favor, turn this off. Maybe that's better. Really? I should have brought my flute. It would have been more enjoyable for you. All those in favor of the approval of the minutes from February 1st, if you could please indicate by raising your right hand. So we have a quorum on this. Thank you. And all those who are abstaining, could you raise your right hand? Dr. Butcher?
They're not hearing us.
They're not hearing us.
Now they hear us.
They're not hearing us. Now they hear us. They're not hearing us. Now they hear us. They're not hearing us. Now they hear us. They're not hearing us. Now they hear us.
So regarding the motions approved to accept the minutes. Thank you from February 1st. Public testimony. This month, the State Board will accept written public testimony on Chapter 15 for bilingual education. For the month of April, the State Board will accept testimony on the draft for religious holidays calendar for 2023 and 2024. So now we'll move forward on the President's report. This year's student representative to the board is Ms. Lauren Knopp, who fortunately is in person with us today. She is a senior from Ocean City High School in Cape May County. Her representative is here as well. Her advisor, Mr. Matt Burge, in the audience. Do you want to stand up? Thank you. Lauren, we're so happy to see you again and to have you in person with us. And I understand that you have remarks that you'd like to share with us, and we greatly look forward to hearing them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, President Goldenberg, and good morning, everyone. Today, I'd like to talk about the Student Engagement Collaborative project that I've been involved with for the past few months. The Student Engagement Collaborative is a small group of student members on state boards of education from across the nation. The Student Engagement Collaborative is sponsored by the National Association of State Boards of Education, or NASB, and participants receive virtual cross-state collaboration opportunities, training in board processes, and policy analysis. The goal of this Student Engagement Collaborative is to help center student voice in state education policymaking and pandemic recovery with the goal of improving outcomes for all students. Since August, the collaborative has been working on public policy research and learning about our nation's education system as a whole. Throughout my time here, I have been able to meet with my fellow State Board of Education representatives across the nation. It is a refreshing way to collaborate with people who provide guidance and input based on their experiences and state policies. Through the Student Engagement Collaborative, I was able to work with a New Jersey State Board of Education member, Miss Mary Beth Berry, who served as my mentor and volunteered her time to assist in my collaboration. With the help of the National Association of State Boards of Education, Mrs. Berry and my national peers and I conducted public policy research in the field of school psychology, and then I shared my findings at the local level after that. Miss Berry was an incredible resource. We had many discussions on policies in our state, and she was able to connect me to resources I needed to pursue my project. I'm hoping I'll get the chance to continue to learn more about public policy in college and further expand my research thus far to make a lasting impact on the statewide and national levels. The public policy portion of the Student Engagement Collaborative ended in January, but monthly meetings with my fellow State Board of Education representatives still take place. I have teamed up with Eric Planke from Massachusetts and Claire Chi from Pennsylvania. The original collaborative began with approximately a dozen representatives, but our goal as a trio is to grow this collaborative so that the membership includes all state student representatives. The three of us hope to establish a Slack-line network for future representatives so that whenever a student collaborative member is met with the challenge of writing a speech or conducting research, we will have a team of peers ready for them to utilize as a resource. Having a platform that educates and elevates the student voice helps us to use our talents to the fullest potential. NASB has provided incredible opportunities for the members of the Student Engagement Collaborative. For example, I was invited to write the Student Voice column in NASB's next publication of The Standard. The NASB community is deeply committed to elevating the student voice, and I am beyond grateful for their efforts in educating students with a statewide platform. I'd like to thank the State Board today for having the confidence in me to ask me to participate in this program. I'd especially like to thank Mrs. Berry for her help throughout the past few months. She has taught me so much about how the education system in our state works. Thank you so much for your time today.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm thrilled that you had the opportunity to work with NASB. And Board Member Berry, I can't thank you enough for mentoring Lauren through this process. It's incredible, and I'm glad that you were able to share with us about it. I don't know if the board members or our acting commissioner would like to.
I would certainly like to. I would like to thank Lauren. You know, it's an amazing opportunity to be on this board, but to have the time to spend with a student, to talk to them about what's important to them. I felt it was a gift to be asked by Lauren to be part of this collaborative, and what an amazing young person she is. How lucky are we as a board to have such a great voice representing the students of New Jersey. So Lauren, thank you for the time, and and thank you to NASB for having the vision also. I think it's really an important project. I'm so glad that we're having young people like this lead the way. So thank you. Thank you again, Lauren.
Thank you.
If I may, yes. First, I'd like to just acknowledge Lauren for being such a dynamic individual. Lauren, you truly are a trailblazer, and we are very fortunate to have you. And so I want to thank you for sharing your experience with the Student Collaborative. And I am so pleased to see you continue to enthusiastically embrace your role as the State Board Student Representative and actively contributing to the collaborative. I wish you and your team members a great deal of success with your slackline idea, which I think is ingenious, by the way. It sounds like a wonderful way to continue the legacy of the collaborative. And additionally, in my role, I am delighted to see students become actively engaged in the educational process. As we know, when students are empowered to speak up, they feel valued and heard. And this not only contributes to increased mental well-being, but to increased capacity for learning. Furthermore, this does translate to all levels of the education system, including the development of education policy. So congratulations, Lauren, and I look forward to future updates on your progress as you continue your research.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Please.
Board Member Sylvia.
Thank you. First, Mary Beth, you rock at being a mentor. Thank you for doing that. And everybody here should be a mentor to somebody for something. And I appreciate you. It's so nice to meet you in real life. I always write down. I always am next to because I think maybe height-wise. So I always write down the things that are said at our meetings that are most important to me, and then I stick them on the wall at my house so I can see them. And your 4 words: elevate the student voice. Thank you, A, for that and for taking initiative and following up on it and seeing that it's a continual thing. And B, those words are the reason we're here. And they're there. And I don't know if they can hear me, but they're there. And everybody is here. Elevate the student voice. I ask you all to write those words down and stick it on your wall. Read that every day. That's what we need to do. And I thank you for helping us to do that. And I look forward to your reports always, and more so now, right next to you, 6 inches away. She's going to ask if I could be moved over there.
Thank you. Thank you, Sylvia. Also, I'd like to go ahead and mention at this time, as NASB was just brought up, that I will be attending the NASB conference this month. And they're going to have on it for our pleasure to hear from the U.S. Secretary of Education, Miguel Cardona. I've met him a few times over the last 3 years, but I'll get to be with him again. And our 2022 National Teacher of the Year will be Mr. Kurt Russell. And I'll get to hear from him. And then, of course, we'll talk about our goals. Speaking of our goals, there are 2 positions on the state board that I need to have volunteers for. If you'd like to do them for NASB. One is the Government Affairs Committee, GAC, and the other one is the PEP Committee, which is about taking positions in education, sharing them with the national people who are on the PEP Committee, and then they take those and make them their initiatives for the following year. So it's about creating policies and issues that are going on throughout our country, and it's a very important committee, the PEP Committee, and the Government Affairs. I've been on the Finance Committee for the last 5 years for NASB, and now I'm going to be on the Presidential Committee as well. So if I could have 2 board members contact me sometime after this meeting is over, think about your commitments. It's once a month. It's a virtual meeting, and I know that it would be extremely important to have national concerns from New Jersey hit the national arena on what's important for education, for our students, we have so many great things that we do, but we can do so many things better with more emphasis and more spotlighting and more funding and policies that will help us at a national level with funding to get those things done statewide for all of us. So thank you very much. And at this point, I'd like to continue and recognize. Oh, thank you. I'd like to please recognize that we have a celebrity in our audience. We have Ms. Maud Dahm, who is a past president of this State Board of Ed. If you'll stand up, please. And we're honored to have you with us today. So thank you. Now we'll continue with our committee reports. I believe that Board Member Bobrov is ready to give her policy committee meeting notes at this point. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Members of the policy committee, Kathy Golden.
We can't hear you.
I don't know why. Let's try it again. Can you hear me now?
She just did a thumbs up, Elaine.
Yeah, hang on a minute. I'm all screwed up here. You hear me now? Hello?
Oh,
She can hear you, but now you can't hear her.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Members of the policy committee, Kathy Goldenberg ex officio, Andrew Mulvihill, Mary Beth Berry, Joe Ricker, and myself as chair met with the members of the Department of Education on February 8th, 2023. Members of the department who were present included Julie Bunt, Chris Huber, Jordan Schiff, Lisa Haverl, Mike Hines, Deirdre Richardson, Susan Barry, and Diane Schoner. The purpose of the meeting was to begin with an overview review of the New Jersey Student Learning Standards readoption for English language arts and math. It was evident that both the policy committee members and the members of the Department of Education had put in a great deal of thought regarding these areas. Lisa Habrel began the overview of the charges by giving us a brief outline of the procedure for the readoption of the standards. The department plans to present an overview of these changes today at the March board meeting, and then present a more detailed formal presentation at the April board meeting. The Department of Education is also planning public hearings throughout the state in April and May. Their plan is to have the hearings at different times of the day, as well as in the north, central, and southern areas of the state, to make them more accessible. These will be followed by department discussion and revision throughout the early summer, with planned adoption in August. Following this introduction, as usual, the members of the board asked many questions to which the department patiently responded. The members of the policy committee and the department plan to meet again twice in March to dive more deeply into the details of the planned readoption. That's my report.
We appreciate it. And I know that we have a couple of more meetings scheduled for the 8th of March and the 13th of March upcoming. So we look forward to them. I think that we'll continue now with the commissioner's report. Thank you.
Madam President, before we go on to
Sir.
the commissioner, I know you started the meeting by thanking the department staff and thanking the teams who helped convene this meeting. And it's certainly, I want to reiterate what you mentioned earlier, it's wonderful to be here. But I also want to take a minute to thank you and the commissioner for your leadership throughout these past couple of years. And certainly it's been your leadership that allowed us to continue to pursue priorities for the department, allowed us to continue to meet our obligations, allowed us to continue to convene meetings, although again, some challenges along the way in terms of the use of technology, but nonetheless, we were able to press forward. We were able to complete the work of the board and certainly support the commissioner and the great work that she is leading on behalf of the department. So I just wanted to take a moment to thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you. Yes, we have been full tilt, even though at times we had difficulty with our teams, just like today. Technology's wonderful when it works, but we have been working hard, and thank you so much.
Yes.
Appreciate you.
Well deserved.
Thank
Well
you.
deserved.
Thank you. Okay, now we'll continue with the commissioner's report. Thank you.
So good morning again. First, I would like to welcome all of the State Board of Education members, those in attendance, and our viewing audience to our Trenton campus. I echo President Goldenberg's sentiments by expressing gratitude to all who made today possible, as our hybrid simulcast meeting is groundbreaking for this agency. It is great to be in person with you, and I look forward to all of our subsequent meetings in person. I ask all attendees here today to take a moment to view the beautiful and creative student artwork displayed around the room, please.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You are viewing the work of New Jersey students. The New Jersey Department of Education's Hope, Healing, and Resilience through the COVID-19 pandemic art installation, in collaboration with Arts Ed New Jersey and Arts Educators of New Jersey, garnered over 1,400 student submissions from pre-kindergarten through 12th grade. Our students answered the department's statewide call to submit their individual expressions of resilience through the pandemic via an original piece of two-dimensional art. Artwork is displayed throughout our buildings and will make its way to our county offices, as well as individual employees have selected a 4x6 art print as an expression of the resilience of our state's students. So let's give our students a round of applause, please. And I hope before you depart, you take a moment to read the caption shared by each student. Next, I will begin with an important statement concerning student mental health. As recent events have laid bare, the mental health of our students remain of paramount concern. Bullying and its adverse effects on the mental health of our young people continues to impact their overall well-being. A recent report from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention indicated that the number of suicides among 10 to 24-year-olds increased more than 16% between 2018 and 2021. Tragedies such as this are reflective of an alarming increase in social, emotional, and mental health challenges that young people across our state and around the nation have faced, exacerbated by the pandemic and other environmental stressors. With the signing of Mallory's Law last January, Governor Murphy has overseen a strengthening of what was already one of the country's toughest anti-bullying laws. As these laws make clear, responsibility to stop the harassment, intimidation, and bullying of our students rests with everyone, from administrators and teachers to board members and parents, and most importantly, fellow students. As adults, we must proactively take action to protect our students, just as we would from any other potential harm. These situations must be treated with the utmost seriousness and addressed at the earliest possible moment. The Department of Education remains committed to providing the resources necessary to support our students. A few weeks ago, I released a joint statement with Commissioner Bayer of the Department of Children and Families, providing important mental health resources. With today's platform, I'd like to reiterate those resources. Through DCF's Children's System of Care, parents can call 1-877-652-7624 to access mental health services or addiction treatment services for children and teens, or services for children and teens up to age 21 with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Youth and young adults between the ages of 10 and 24 can call or text the Second Floor Youth Helpline at 888-222-2228, or the New Jersey Hope Line at 1-855-654-6735 if they need to speak with someone. These services are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We encourage anyone experiencing suicidal thoughts or mental health related distress to dial 988 to be connected to the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline to receive the support and care they need. Again, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We urge everyone to lead with empathy and kindness and to support those in your lives who may be struggling with hidden burdens they feel are too heavy to carry. I implore all our students, if you see someone being bullied, please bring it to the attention of an educator or parent. If you see others having a rough time, be a friend, say hi, or check in on them. You never know what they may be going through, and your voice can and will make a difference. What may seem like the simplest gesture may lead to a positive change or outcome for someone else. And if you are struggling, please do not hesitate to reach out to parents or other trusted family, trusted peer supports, trusted educators. And finally, please know that you are never, never, never alone, and help is always within reach. Thank you, President Goldenberg. Before I move on, any board member like to speak?
Well, I think what you've articulated, we've all been so concerned with, and we've been worried about how we're seeing our students struggle, especially with the pandemic and so many lack of opportunities that presented, not being able to be in school buildings and have the support of their their staff and their friends to help them and their teachers. And so I think if the phone numbers that you just gave from the Department of Health, maybe we could put them out either on both the Department of Ed website and a tweet so that people can access that well if they didn't have their pens poised at that moment. And that would be helpful. And I'm so grateful. I know how much we've all been concerned and what's in the news, and we really need to help our students. And therefore, I will say the same thing that Board Member Sylvia just said about putting Post-its. We should all take the opportunity to mentor and to help and to give support and to let people know when we think that there's a problem so that we can all pitch in and help.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Arcelia, did you?
Yeah, Madam President, thank you.
Please.
So, Commissioner, thank you very much for that powerful message. And it is our duty to get the information out to parents in terms of the resources that are available to them. Any loss of a child is tragic, and my heart goes out to the parents of Adriana Koch, and any parent who has dealt with their child in ways that they're feeling isolated or not getting the resources that they believe that they need. Just to reemphasize what the commissioner mentioned, we do have resources. We do have counselors at schools. We do have passionate teachers that really want to assist children in their need. So to parents, just reach out as often as possible to understand what resources are available in your district. And if you're not getting the resources that you need, please contact the department. Please contact, the county commissioner's office. There's other opportunities to connect with folks who could possibly provide you with the services or information or resources that you need. So thank you very much, Commissioner.
Thank you. Well said. Thank you.
Kathy, do you mind?
Please.
So for Commissioner, thank you, and Arcelia, thank you also. That statistic, the 16% increase, I just want to repeat it was from 10 years old, 10 years old. That struck me, death by suicide at 10. As we all know that we need to do better. Anybody that's thinking in those terms needs to know the resources, and everybody here and on the interwebs, as I jokingly sometimes call it at home, has the ability to do something. If you have a social media platform that you use and you have one other person that follows you on that, write those numbers, that suicide and crisis hotline 988, put that on there, pin it to the top. The New Jersey Hope Line, 855-654-6735. I think that was the number that you said. And the second floor, that's another organization, 888-222-2228. I think I have that number correct. Put that on your social media if you have that. If you don't have that, when you talk to somebody, we all talk to somebody, write that down and hand it to them. They might know somebody that needs it. They might be somebody that needs it. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
I was just thinking, we hear some great presentations by our students that are in career and technical education and the graphic arts program. And maybe this would be a wonderful project for some of our CTE schools to have a campaign where we've got beautiful artwork here, maybe have kids really post those numbers and get it out so that they're sharing it and spreading that message so that young people know that there are places that they can turn to. We have these pieces of paper, and we have these numbers and we're jotting them down, but maybe if kids take some extra interest in it and start putting things out there in the forms of artwork and just having those numbers available so that they're really visible, we could save more lives, but kindness goes a long way, and hopefully, you know, with wonderful students like Lauren, who is, you know, such a trailblazer, that we have our student bodies really understand how important this issue is, and it's everyone's issue. So, but I just thought, boy, we got beautiful artwork here. We need to get those numbers out.
Right. And I'll just end this part of the conversation, if that's all right, saying that I attended my cousins brought me to a gubstep conference. It was a whole new genre of music for me. And the performer ended it by saying, and I thought it was incredible in front of thousands of people, be kind. We all need to keep emphasizing that to our young people, because the world is quite divisive right now. There's no denying it. And if we can just emulate each one of us to be kind and be respectful of one another, it'll spread infectiously. So that's what I would like to end the conversation about this with. That's all right.
Yes, thank you very much to you, President Goldenberg, and all of the board members for your investment in supporting the mental health of our youth. And it goes a long way, and we will continue the conversation. And as Board Member Aponte stated, we have 21 county offices, and we have individuals ready to respond to the needs in their community. So please contact your county office of education, and you can find their information on our website if you would like assistance closest to the local level. So thank you. And now at this time, President Goldenberg, I will move forward with the resolution in recognition of Gifted and Talented Students Month in New Jersey. So at this time, I request that the State Board of Education consider a ceremonial resolution designating March as Gifted and Talented Students Month in New Jersey.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
On January 13th, 2020, Governor Murphy signed the Strengthening Gifted and Talented Education Act, which established school district responsibilities in educating gifted and twice exceptional students. Since the law was enacted, an advisory committee was formed. This committee consists of educators, parents, and gifted education experts who collaborate with the department on how to best implement the law within New Jersey's public schools. Additionally, the Office of Supplemental Educational Programs has conducted technical assistance sessions to help address key areas within gifted education, led by educators and school administrators. New Jersey's educators were required to reinforce their gifted and talented education accommodations during extraordinary circumstances caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Their continued commitment to pave the way forward to address the academic needs of gifted and twice exceptional students is to be commended. During the month of March, we would like to acknowledge the substantial influence of gifted and talented students and educators across our great state. We are pleased to recognize March as Gifted and Talented Students Month. President Goldenberg, I will now turn the meeting over to you to address the procedural rules.
Thank you. I'd like to first ask for a motion to accept the resolution. Thank you. We have a motion from Board Member Barry. May I please have a second?
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion second from past President Aponte to accept this. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Thank you. Any
Aye.
opposed? Did we?
Yeah, I heard him.
Okay. So I'd like to first ask Mary Beth Berry to read the resolution designating March as the Gifted and Talented Students for the
Thank
month
you,
of
President
March.
Goldenberg.
Thank you.
The resolution in honor of Gifted and Talented Student Month in New Jersey. Whereas the Strengthening Gifted and Talented Education Act was signed into law on January 13th, 2020, and whereas shortly thereafter, the New Jersey Department of Education established the Strengthening Gifted and Talented Education Advisory Committee, consisting of 5 subcommittees to address law implementation, identification, programming, the intersectionality of cognitive and affective needs, and professional development to best identify and serve the needs of gifted students. And whereas the New Jersey Department of Education collaborates with the Advisory Committee, various New Jersey education organizations, and gifted and talented education experts from across the country to provide technical assistance to educators on how to best support gifted and twice exceptional students. And whereas it is the work of these collaborative efforts that will support statewide and local education agencies' efforts in meeting the needs of gifted and twice exceptional students, so they are provided the opportunity to fulfill their academic potential. Now therefore it be resolved that the New Jersey State Board of Education and the Acting Commissioner of Education recognize the month of March as Gifted and Talented Student Month in New Jersey, and honor the gifted and talented students of New Jersey, as well as their parents, teachers, and school leaders who are working to ensure that our students have the resources and opportunities they need to succeed.
Thank you very much. Is there any discussion at this time about this resolution? Hearing none. All those in favor, and if I could ask the people to please turn on their microphones, we'll try it, and that are at home and hybrid at this time, or at offices. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you. Any opposed, please say nay. Are there any abstentions? If so, voice them at this time. The motion carries. Director Schoner. So we have Elaine. Elaine, are you here? Oh, good. Elaine Chesbro, Vice President of Programs, and Dr. Lenore Cortina, Trustee of the New Jersey Association of Gifted and Talented Students, are here to accept the resolution. Please join the Acting Commissioner, Alan McMillan, and myself at the podium to accept the resolution and have our photographs taken. And afterward, we'd like for you to say a few words. And any board members who'd like to come up, please also join us in congratulating them.
I don't know.
Testing.
There we go. Thank you. On behalf of the New Jersey Association for Gifted Children, Dr. Cortina and I want to thank the State Board for their support of all students, and in particular our gifted students who we know have unique needs. And so on behalf of our association and the educators that we support, parents, and all of the students, thank you. Since the passage of the SCTAG, as we call it, the Strengthening Gifted and Talented Education Act, New Jersey has become a leader in gifted education, and other states are looking to us. So it's because of our partnership that that has happened, and we thank you again for your support of these unique students. Thank you.
Thank you. Another round of applause.
Madam President, if I may.
Please.
Congratulations on all the great work around gifted and talented. And certainly these programs are important for students, and to the point that you made, providing special needs and addressing the needs of gifted and talented students. But I do bring this up every year, and one of the issues that I bring up is I'd love to see the numbers as to whether or not we're making any progress towards Black and Hispanic students in these types of programs. And so maybe, Commissioner, if you could provide me with some information that maybe shows what numbers have been over the past few years, and particularly it's been a difficult past few years. That said, how are students being selected to these programs? For parents to understand that process would be important. And again, just looking at how many or the percentage of Black and Hispanic students that are taking part in these types of programs, I think it's important to know.
Thank you,
thank
Board
you.
Member Aponte. We will look into this and I will report back.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you. And
Again, wonderful programs, and
Yes.
certainly like to see more and more students be able to take advantage of
Understood.
these programs.
Likewise.
thank you. And now I'd like to turn the floor back over and we can go ahead with the next.
Thank you, President Goldenberg.
Thank you.
Today, I also request that the State Board of Education consider a ceremonial resolution designating March 10th as New Jersey Social and Emotional Learning Day. Social and emotional learning, often referred to as SEL, is the process through which people acquire and apply the knowledge, skills, and attitudes to develop healthy identities, manage emotions, as well as achieve personal and collective goals, feel and show empathy for others, establish and maintain supportive relationships, and finally, make responsible and caring decisions. New Jersey has demonstrated a steadfast commitment to embedding social and emotional learning in New Jersey schools starting in preschool through grade 12. Beginning with the adoption of New Jersey's social emotional learning competencies and subcompetencies by the State Board in 2017, continued support, training, and resources have been made available to schools to advance development of all these skills. Is it just me? Okay, everyone hears it, okay. So I just really want to continue to highlight that we've done a great job, and it is a cornerstone of learning that is foundational as a building block for growth and development in all content areas. Moreover, it is to be embedded within a school's culture as it has the power to inform the way schools facilitate teaching and learning for students and educators. Growing and developing one's social and emotional learning skills supports the development of positive relationships, the ability to make constructive choices and cope with challenges, conditions that promote mental health and wellness, and the development of resiliency skills too. So today, we recognize our educators for all their efforts to foster social and emotional learning, and we are pleased to join the State Board of Education in celebrating social and emotional learning by recognizing March 10th, 2023 as SEL Day in New Jersey through this resolution. President Goldenberg, I will now turn the meeting over to you to address the procedural rules.
Thank you so much. So I'd like to have a motion, please, before we read the resolution in a second.
So moved.
Motion.
Thank you.
I'll
Board Member
second.
Sylvia gave a motion, and
I'll second.
Past President Ponte gave a second. Thank you so much. And now I'd like to please ask Sylvia to read the resolution designating March 10th, 2023 as our Social and Emotional Learning Day in New Jersey.
It's my pleasure, and what appropriate timing today.
Yes.
Especially.
Also, Mary Beth, good job reading off of the paper. Lauren can tell you, I've got it blown up to about 1,000 font on my screen here, and I still need to put my glasses on. Resolution in recognition of Social and Emotional Learning Day in New Jersey. Whereas the second Friday in March has been designated internationally as the 4th annual SEL Day by SEL for Us and the Urban Assembly, and whereas social and emotional learning, SEL, is the process through which all young people and adults acquire and apply the knowledge, skills, and attitudes to develop healthy identities, manage emotions, and achieve personal and collective goals, feel and show empathy for others, establish and maintain supportive relationships, and make responsible and caring decisions. And whereas SEL competencies develop throughout people's lives from early childhood through adolescence and beyond, and are essential to success in schools, workplaces, homes, and communities. And whereas SEL develops important protective factors that defend against mental health risks by promoting responsive relationships, emotionally safe environments, and skill development. And whereas research indicates developing students' social emotional skills leads to an increased ability to manage stress and depression and maintain better attitudes about themselves, others, and school. And whereas building SEL skills is an essential component to cultivating trauma-sensitive schools equipped to support the needs within school communities while also aiding in the promotion of positive childhood experiences. And whereas a stronger and fairer New Jersey relies on citizens who exhibit the knowledge and the skills encompassed in New Jersey's SEL competencies and sub-competencies, which include self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, responsible decision-making, and relationship skills. And whereas schools, families, and the wider community must be engaged to enhance the strength, depth, and pace of acquisition of SEL competencies. And whereas the New Jersey State Board of Education and the Acting Commissioner of Education continue to recommend school districts implement the New Jersey social and emotional learning competencies to promote safe, supportive, and challenging learning environments in schools. And whereas SEL competencies enhance educators' capacity to navigate stressors, foster positive learning environments, and develop meaningful connections with colleagues and students. And whereas SEL advances school, family, community partnerships to establish learning environments and experiences that feature trusting and collaborative relationships, rigorous and meaningful instruction, and ongoing evaluation. And whereas SEL can be incorporated into different subject matters and seamlessly embedded in everyday instruction. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the New Jersey State Board of Education and the Acting Commissioner of Education hereby recognize March 10th, 2023 as Social Emotional Learning Day in New Jersey.
Thank you very much. Well done. So if I could ask if there are any discussion points at this point about the resolution. Just that we all need to work harder to support our students is all I would add to that. And so I'd like to go ahead, please, and ask all those in favor to say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. Are there any abstentions? Please indicate so at this time. Motion passes. Thank you. And if I could please ask Christy Beardron, the Director of Education and Junior Achievement of New Jersey. You will be accepting the resolution at this time for SEL for New Jersey to join the Acting Commissioner, Alan McMillan, and myself. And thank you very, very much for being here. And I'd like to ask if we could give that. And for all of you in the audience, if you'd like to stand for a minute, it's hard to sit this long, I know. You're welcome to stretch. And if any board members would like to come along and give the resolution at this time. I know. Yes. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Commissioner, President Goldberg, and the rest of the State Board. It's good to see all of you today. I'm happy to be here. And I'm so grateful for the opportunity to accept this resolution on behalf of SEL 4NJ, as well as Junior Achievement of New Jersey, where I work. Very excited to have our President and CEO in the audience today, Mr. Jim
Wonderful.
Horn, joining us.
Would you like to
Please stand.
come up,
All right.
please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And also, of course, on behalf of my late husband, Mark Bedron, who is a friend of all of ours, and as you know, a champion of social emotional learning here in New Jersey. As State Board President, he was really an integral part in getting those learning competencies and sub-competencies adopted. So thank you again for this opportunity. So SEL 4NJ is dedicated to ensuring that everyone in the state of New Jersey understands the purpose and benefits of social emotional learning. I think everyone would agree, and thank you so much for your kind remarks, that is important and it's crucial for our students to learn beyond academics, to have those trusting relationships, a sense of purpose and belonging, and to learn and practice the skills needed to work towards their goals and contribute to their communities. So that's why SEL is crucial, because it can help create educational opportunities and environments that promote social emotional learning that are fundamental to human development and career readiness. So we hope that everyone joins us on March 10th for SEL Day. We're having an SEL Summit on that day. SEL 4NJ and our partnering organizations will be presenting a special virtual summit from 10 to 4 on March 10th. The event will be hosted online and will feature 6 presentations about the benefits of social emotional learning and character development in schools and in life. Sample topics will include the new New Jersey School Climate Improvement Platform, which we're excited about, a panel discussion with grantees from our New York Jets Scholarship Program, SEL and the Arts, shaping a positive school environment with social emotional character development, SEL and everyday curriculum and instruction, and providing connections and networking for school improvement. And I myself will be participating on a panel for SEL for US about the connections between social emotional learning and college and career readiness. So as we've learned today, SEL can be a powerful lever for creating caring, inclusive, and healthy schools that support all young people and reaching their fullest potential. And I just want to reiterate what you said, Commissioner. Let's all remember to lead with empathy and kindness. That's my quote for the month. Because together we can build school communities that fully support student learning and development so that all of our children can thrive. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Such a wonderful sentiment. We appreciate it. Where will the meeting be held on March 10th? Is it in Mount Laurel again?
It's virtual.
Oh, it's virtual this year. Yeah, I've been twice to them. They're great. Thank you. Okay, and now we'll move forward, please, with items for consideration.
I do have a few more items.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Today, the New Jersey Commission on Holocaust Education is here to present an overview of the work of the commission that celebrated its 40th anniversary in 2022, which I proudly attended. Its mission is to ensure that teachers in all grade levels have the resources needed to meet the obligation to provide students with age-appropriate instruction on the Holocaust and genocide. Mr. Servey, Executive Director of the Holocaust Commission, and Ms. Daugherty. There it is. I knew I was going to get it. Daugherty. Thank you. One of my favorite singers, Chris Daugherty, but an aside. Executive Assistant for the Holocaust Commission are here to provide the presentation and to respond to your questions, please.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for that introduction, Commissioner. We are happy to provide you with an overview of the work that the New Jersey Commission on Holocaust Education has been doing. Our mission is to promote education in the state, and provide our educators with the resources and materials that they need to teach this in an age-appropriate manner and meaningful way.
Starting in the summer of 2020, the New Jersey Commission on Holocaust Education, along with 10 amazing New Jersey teachers, began working on updates to the Commission's K-12 Holocaust Curriculum Guide. Through meeting with educators around the state, we found that our existing guides were not being used as often, and what was being used was a small percentage. Because the guides are so large and extensive, teachers today were just not reaching for them. We also wanted to create a way that these guides could be updated as needed, as opposed to planning large revision sessions every 10 years or so. We decided to create a digital guide while keeping the existing guides as a reference. The format is more accessible, teacher-friendly, and aligns more cohesively with the New Jersey Student Learning Standards. It also enables us to, on a biannual basis, to review the guides and make updates to the materials as needed, based on teacher feedback and as new materials are released to the public. The guides are made available to teachers and publicly launched at the 2022 NJEA convention, where we hosted 2 90-minute sessions to provide a walkthrough of the guides and distributed over 2,000 books to educators in attendance. We're also planning on updating our other 17 curriculum guides to the exact same format.
We continue to work with the 30 Holocaust resource centers throughout the state of New Jersey. Over the 2021-22 school year, in partnership with these centers, we hosted or co-hosted 596 programs, reaching 84,804 students, 8,058 educators, 558 Holocaust survivors, and 58,982 community members who are on track to do about the same in this coming year. We have reconstituted our annual summer teacher workshop that we used and were hosted by Dr. Paul Winkler before his passing. Last summer, we had 38 educators in attendance, where we had Dr. Michael Birnbaum as the keynote speaker, as well as a program conducted by Facing History and ourselves. We have begun planning the training for the 2023 summer. Since the launch of the curriculum guide, we are hosting more professional development to introduce teachers to the new format and assist with implementation in their classrooms. Recently, we conducted a professional development at Woodcliff Lakes School District and Winslow Township High School.
In partnership with the Jewish Federation of Greater Metro West, we assisted a community member in completing her Bat Mitzvah community service project. She created 2 Holocaust education chunks that she then donated to the commission to be loaned out to New Jersey schools. These chunks contain 2 full class sets of books, videos of Holocaust survivor testimony, photos and replicas of artifacts to assist teachers in teaching about the Holocaust. And in addition, we've finally been able to bring back our annual summer seminar to the infamous sites of the Holocaust, which is led by Holocaust survivor Maud Dami. In July of this summer, we will be leading 36 New Jersey educators through the Holocaust sites in Germany, Prague, Poland, and the Netherlands. This coming November, in commemoration of Kristallnacht, we will be co-hosting a program with Keene University's Holocaust Resource Center to bring Carolyn Enger and her Michelin expose to New Jersey. Carolyn is a pianist who brings to life the story of her father and godmother through live music and film. This year, the New Jersey Commission on Holocaust Education, in partnership with the Office of Special Education, will be dedicating a space in the Learning Resource Center at 200 Riverview Plaza as a Holocaust resource library. This initiative received a unanimous vote in the affirmative to open the Dr. Paul Winkler Holocaust Resource Library in time for this April Yom HaShoah. The library not only serves as a place for teachers to obtain resources, but they can also meet with commission members on an individual basis for assistance in incorporating the Holocaust education mandate into their classrooms.
Thank you very much for your time. If you need any additional information, we would be more than happy to provide it.
I have questions. Thank you. So thank you for that report. Dr. Survey?
No. Just I just have a master's degree.
Oh, that's plenty. So,
Just.
that's plenty. So, Mr. Survey, what, with these curriculum guides, at what age are they introduced to the students throughout New Jersey?
Based on the state mandate and the law that New Jersey has passed, we have K-5 materials, 6th through 8th grade materials, and 9 through 12, and age-appropriate materials, and all drop-down menus that are on the website. So we wouldn't be mentioning, K-5, all right, the Holocaust and genocide. That would be inappropriate. So when you finally get to 6th middle school, that information would be incorporated into the curriculums, and then the same thing would hold true for 9 through 12.
Do you think, from your experience, that this is being taught in history curriculum or social science? Where is it being infused?
What we would like to see is that it's cross-curriculum, not just in social studies or English classes, which in the middle school would probably be in the literature class. not that much because they're trying to cover the Qing Dynasty, the Romans and the Greeks and so forth, and they may or may not get into it then. What we would like to do, and what we have done based on the books that we have available, is to give those teachers, whether they are social studies teachers or literature teachers, that information which they can infuse in their curriculum. Once you get to 9 to 12, then you can go, it's probably easier to go cross curriculum, and that's one of the things that we're working on right now.
Thank you. So I understand this past Saturday was listed as National Hate Day by the radical white supremacists. Did we go out and issue any statements to public schools to announce to the students any sort of feedback, how to not be affected by this, or how to, I know it was in New Jersey and New York, all the different
Yes.
Religious organizations were contacting people.
Most of the stuff that was done on a national level, not by us as a commission. I actually brought this up last night in the college class that I teach, and most even the college students, because they don't watch the news, they get their information from Twitter or, Facebook.
Well, the FBI issued an alert.
Yes, they did. And everybody within the state was well aware of all the police community and so forth, but as a commission, we did not issue a warning. If unfortunately they have that again next year, that may be a good idea for us to do that, just to let people know. Most of the people that we have, our 30 centers, were well aware of what was going on. Whether the high schools were aware of that I'm not sure of.
Well, in the same as social and emotional,
Yes.
Producing verbiage of kindness and acceptance is something every commission should be speaking about with people. So thank you for your efforts. Any other comments? Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for your presentation today. Just to mention that over the 18 years that I've served on this board, I've had the honor of working with a number of board members. And as Christy mentioned, I had the honor of working with Mark as well. And as you mentioned, Mark was certainly passionate about SEL and has been a real leader in that area. So again, honored to have served with him. I would have to say the same about Maud Dami. I can't think of another person who had been so passionate about Holocaust education than Maud. And so when I started on the board, I quickly knew, quickly was aware of Maud's passion in this area. So I just wanted to acknowledge Maud for her continuation and support of Holocaust education. So thank you, Maud. And also just to mention, in this environment where we are, in some states, telling students what they can or cannot read, telling students what AP courses they can and cannot take, where we are telling students what areas of research they can or cannot pursue.
And teachers, what they can and cannot teach.
And teachers as well. I think it certainly is a great example that in New Jersey, we believe empowering students by providing them with a broad range of information and materials to pursue areas of study that they are passionate about. And that could be Holocaust education, it could be Black history, a number of different topics, a full range of opportunities. And I think that is why New Jersey is a model state in terms of public education. And it's programs like the one you're presenting today that I think keeps us above the rest. And again, your work is so critical to ensure that we remember and we know the history. And through that knowledge, we're empowering our students, we're empowering our communities, and hopefully we're also being more empathetic towards one another. So thank you.
If I may, one more
Please.
comment. You may or may not be aware, but we've been contacted by 11 states. Several of the new executive directors from these states had been told by other people, you need to contact New Jersey because they've been doing this longer than anybody else. So thank
Fantastic.
goodness for Paul Winkler and Larry Glazer and the work that they have done.
Yes.
We're hoping to continue what they did and still remain at the forefront and up our game as far as what we present to our people, as well as what we can share with other states. Everything, we're the only one, and I was unaware of this until we were contacted by New York, that have our curriculums online for free by use of any teachers to implement those materials age appropriately, all right, in their schools.
Thank you.
Commissioner, let's continue to up our game.
Yes, yes. And thank you to the State Board for requesting another presentation from our commissions. And so we're beginning here, and they continue to be the gold standard for our other commissions who are striving to reach your level of success, your level of impact, your ability to deliver quality content across all grade spans. So thank you, truly, thank you for what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you.
Commissioner, if I can, 10 seconds, I promise. I lie, it's never 10 seconds. Your philosophy on the cross-curricula instruction is so important, particularly in what we talked about today with social emotional learning, not to forget what hate can do and what hate can look like. I think having this kind of education, it absorbs into kids, and Holocaust is something obviously we should never forget and must always educate on. And I am going to take an opportunity to shamelessly plug Allison Connolly, who just joined your commission. Some of my kids had the benefit of being in her class, and that is a win. So I'll be watching closely because she's one of my favorite people. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you. And perhaps, if it's not too much to ask, just like we're going to be putting the phone numbers for helplines for students and parents who are experiencing difficulties at this time, maybe for those who are experiencing anti-Semitism and bullying in that respect, you could also put numbers online for people to reach out to if that's something that the Department of Ed would publicize.
Yes,
So-
we will engage in conversation moving forward. So thank you.
Thank you.
What a pleasure.
Thank you.
Give them a round of applause.
Please.
It is also my pleasure to share with you our progress on the revisions of the New Jersey Student Learning Standards for English Language Arts and Mathematics. The standards development process began last summer with the establishment of a highly qualified and diverse review committee. The focus of the work was reflective of not only evidence-based practices, but also the essential input from educators and other critical stakeholders. The department has committed to engaging stakeholders in these collaborative efforts to ensure the standards are rigorous, research-based, and appropriate to prepare students to be college and career ready. As we will share today, we are entering the next phase of this most critical process, which includes soliciting additional input from a larger group of stakeholders. Dr. Schiff, our Acting Assistant Commissioner for the Division of Teaching and Learning Services, and Ms. Haberl, Executive Director for the Division of Teaching and Learning Services, are here today to describe the details and milestones of the review and revision process for these two sets of New Jersey student learning standards. I turn it over to you.
Thank you, Commissioner. President Goldenberg, Vice President Mulvihill, and members of the State Board of Education, we are pleased to join you today to discuss the New Jersey State Learning Standards and introduce our proposed revisions in English Language Arts and Mathematics. Our plan today is to share our major milestones and present an overview of the review process, discuss the incredible team of educators who collaborated with us in our efforts, share at a high level the major revisions proposed in each content area, and lastly, review the implications for the field. Our milestones are proposed here, providing you with a sense of our timing and how we envision our collaboration towards adoption. We are providing today a high-level overview and a more detailed public presentation in April. We are planning for public hearings throughout the state in April and May, with continued discussions throughout the early summer and an anticipated adoption by the State Board in August. Full implementation of the revised standards will begin in September of 2024 in order to provide districts enough time to adjust curriculum and implement the necessary professional development to best implement these revised standards with fidelity. This past July, our review began with the convening of expert committees who met virtually for 3 full days to discuss the content and the challenges of implementation of the 2016 standards. Members conducted a literature scan of recent research related to English language arts and mathematics, standards implementation, and findings related to student performance during and after the global pandemic. The committees deliberated and developed a formal set of recommendations to share with the writing team. The ELA and math writing teams met throughout the month of August for 6 semi-weekly, full-day virtual meetings. The writing committees were grouped into grade band expertise for targeted review. Each grade band group reviewed the report of recommendations composed by the expert review committee and proposed specific language changes and modifications to the standards. Each proposed change required clear justification from the expert review based upon the research provided. The potential impact on educators, including the need for professional development, was considered heavily. Grade band groups reconvened as an entire writing committee to ensure learning progression remained intact, developmentally appropriate, and coherent across grade levels, kindergarten through 12th. The post-secondary review groups were convened throughout September to gather feedback and to obtain recommendations for guidance to be developed in support of the revised standards. As you can see from this chart, the department was able to access incredible talent from across the state to inform the revisions to the standards. 100% of our expert committees held doctoral degrees and held extensive classroom experience, while the vast majority of the writing teams also held advanced degrees and similar teaching experience. All 3 regions of the state were well represented, as well as suburban and urban districts. The NJSLS English Language Arts proposed revisions to the development of more robust early literacy expectations. During their comprehensive review, the expert committee noted that the complexities of the writing process appear to be underexamined in our current standards. The committees also crafted foundational skills for writing, which is based upon a body of research and evidence around foundational literacy skills. The teams clarified and bolstered critical expectations in K-5 foundational reading skills by enhancing the performance indicators that focus on decoding and encoding words and analyzing word parts and recognizing words. They also created the K-5 foundational reading expectations to complement the K-5 foundational reading section, which includes sound letter basics, letter formation, building stamina, spelling, elements of grammar, sentence composition, and the development of writing skills and habits. The team also modified redundant standards that were repeated verbatim across multiple grade levels in an effort to clearly describe the changes in developmental complexity over time. The group also crafted a vision for ELA literacy education that includes and honors the need for scaffolding concepts and skills throughout the grades, multi-language learning, and the need for culturally, linguistically responsive practices. In addition, they clearly delineated between literature and informational texts to ensure that the associated anchor standards and progress indicators demonstrated distinct knowledge and skills related to each text type. They explicitly included references to text structures and features at appropriate grade bands and reduced the significant redundancy across reading expectations and the companion standards. Another critical revision included honoring the significant digital and virtual shifts in communication that have occurred since the 2016 adoption of the NJSLS. They integrated and amplified the use of multimodal formats and text sets, the synthesis of content across diverse formats, and included critical aspects of information and media literacy. Similarly, the math standards proposed a foundation in data literacy be developed in earlier grades. Data literacy is a set of skills needed to ask questions, collect, analyze, interpret, and communicate about data, which many elementary students are challenged by. To build a stronger foundation in data literacy early, the committees decoupled the K-5 measurement and data domain, resulting in a measurements domain and a data literacy domain. Expanding and enhancing this instruction in early grades lays the foundation for middle grade statistics and probability standards and for high school statistics and/or data science courses. The teams also established new standards in early elementary to form a progression towards the currently adopted later elementary standards for solving word problems, including money. This revision would develop conceptual understandings of monetary denominations prior to encountering word problems where comparative values of coins and dollars are introduced. The committees also replaced the term fluency throughout the standards. This revision emphasized that accuracy and efficiency, as opposed to speed, are the most essential aspects of fluency. In all cases, fluency was replaced with the phrase, quote, with accuracy and efficiency. In addition, the committees developed foundational work with radicals, which was absent from the standards prior to algebra. Advanced work with radicals is expected in high school advanced math courses, so clarifications and additional expectations were included in middle school to build a stronger foundation. Lastly, the group ensured more comprehensive work with rational and irrational numbers prior to Algebra 1. As discussed, the review of the ELA standards proposed important revisions focused on the development of more robust early literacy expectations. Similarly, the math provisions proposed a foundation in data literacy be developed in earlier grades. The committees advised the department that developing educators' content knowledge and pedagogical understandings of these concepts and skills may require a significant investment in guidance, resources, and professional learning. To better meet the needs of local education agencies at the point of adoption, the department is engaged in the concurrent development of a comprehensive standards transparency and mastery platform, or STAMP, that will provide professional learning and other NJSLS supporting resources. This will allow districts to develop a clear understanding of the expectations and provide the resources that allow them to revise curricula, develop and deliver aligned professional development in the most thoughtful and effective way. By providing resources ensures not only that teachers are working with strong and clear standards, but also with professional learning and support to implement the expectations with fidelity. We thank you for your time, and now Mrs. Haverhill, Executive Director for the Division of Teaching and Learning Services, and I are available for your questions.
I'd like to introduce you also. Dr. Jordan Schiff is the gentleman who is speaking. So thank you.
Thank you.
Questions at this time? Any questions?
I have
like
a comment.
the idea of the earlier
Intervention?
As provided towards understanding money problems. I remember it wasn't even that long ago when that started in high school. There's financial literacy, and also when you say providing resources, what exactly do you mean by that? Is it the actual professional development, or is it encouraging budgetary resources towards that? What do you mean by the resources?
The STAMP, this Standards Transparency and Mastery platform, is all about providing guidance, providing technical assistance, and providing exemplars. So we're trying to think very mindfully about what do educators need in order for them to implement these revised standards with fidelity. We feel that those three areas can be very helpful.
Thank you.
I think it's okay for you to say, and a budget helps.
And a
Right?
budget helps, of course.
I think the governor yesterday announced some budget dollars towards education, so I'm hoping that some of this could go towards this end. And I just want to mention, Madam President, that this work is certainly so critical to the development of our students, but also to the economic growth of our state. Applaud all the work around ELA and math, but particularly what resonated with me was the data literacy component. It's so critical to be able to understand data at an earlier age, and hopefully more and more students will take statistics in earlier grades, which it's difficult enough to sell a high school student to take statistics, right? So, but nonetheless, if we encourage or equip them to be more proficient in data literacy at an earlier age, maybe they'll be certainly motivated to take statistic courses, which which is just so critical in all the work that we do, whether you're in finance, engineering, research. Certainly a great skill to have. And you mentioned the phrase with accuracy and efficiency, which I think it's also important to recognize that there is a difference, and that it's important for us to be more so focused on the benefits of being more accurate and more efficient in the work that we do. So applaud the work, fantastic. And again, Commissioner, if I could encourage you to continue to advocate for and discuss with the governor about more dollars to public education, that'd be fantastic.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? All right, comments? Thank you. Thank you. Okay,
Moving on, Madam President.
please. Thank you.
Yes, so at this time, I am pleased to share my In Case You Missed It report, often referred to on social media as ICYMI. Yes, and this is a report where I share updates that demonstrate our continued efforts to support New Jersey students and educators. The New Jersey Department of Education announced this past Friday the launch of 3 critical initiatives designed to promote academic recovery and accelerate learning. The initiatives will focus on evidence-based strategies that can help schools close achievement gaps caused or exacerbated by COVID-19, related disruptions to the learning environment, and the shift to remote instruction. These programs will prioritize elementary age students, consistent with evidence-based research demonstrating that elementary age students experienced more significant developmental setbacks during the pandemic. First, the New Jersey High Impact Tutoring Program begins this week. Under this initiative, the New Jersey Department of Education seeks participation from organizations that can provide tutoring services at scale, including school districts that offer tutoring or are considering offering tutoring with existing staff. The eligible vendors will be required to demonstrate that their tutoring services are grounded in evidence-based instructional practices, and tutoring will be prioritized for 3rd and 4th grade students on an individual or small group basis, and it will take place no less than twice weekly for 9 or 10 weeks. We are also eager to support school districts that have already established tutoring programs in their school community. Second, RAPID, specific to early elementary literacy in kindergarten to grade 3, will be supported by a $2 million appropriation from the fiscal year 23 budget and approximately $700,000 in one-time ESSER funding. The department will solicit a request for a proposal, what we call an RFP, from qualified individuals and organizations that will be approved to serve as RAPID vendors, providing no-cost training to participating school districts. And third, RAPID Plus is a grant opportunity for institutions of higher education to provide professional development targeted to literacy instruction for educators responsible for upper elementary students in grades 4 and 5. RAPID Plus will be supported by a $3 million in ESSER state set-aside funding. The department, does this only happen when I speak? Does anyone notice that noise? It only happens when I speak, so I'm going to press forward. The department will enter into an agreement with grantee colleges and universities that have the capacity to provide professional development to our New Jersey educators. And the notice of grant opportunity for this program will be posted on the department's website in the coming days. These 3 critical investments in accelerating learning were announced in advance of Governor Murphy's historic fiscal year 2024 budget address yesterday, in which Governor Murphy's proposed budget does demonstrate, and I'm very excited about this, his continued commitment to increasing funding for our public schools, and it reaffirms that our students and educators remain at the forefront of progress in New Jersey. This is very, very exciting. And so I'm going to share with you some of the budget highlights. The proposed budget includes $20.4 billion, yes, $1 billion in total school aid. This represents a $1 billion increase over fiscal year 2023. The proposed budget includes $10.7 billion in K through 12 formula aid, which is an increase of $832.2 million over last year, bringing K through 12 aid to its highest amount in New Jersey's history. The proposed increase includes the full schedule phase-in under S2. This would bring the total increase in K through 12 aid under Governor Murphy to $2.6 billion since the administration's first budget. Although we are on the path toward properly funding the school funding formula, and the proposed budget includes the highest amount of K through 12 aid in state's history, we know that some school districts continue to face fiscal adversity. The proposed budget will include a third year of $20 million in stabilization aid to assist school districts with implementing plans that adjust to new funding levels. The proposed budget also demonstrates Governor Murphy's ongoing commitment to providing high-quality preschool education. For preschool education, the proposal will increase funding by $109.5 million, bringing the total to $1.1 billion. This total allocation to preschool education is about $420 million more than when Governor Murphy took office. Of this year's $109.5 million increase, $40 million would be used to expand access to high-quality preschools in new districts and to address other critical needs in order to meet the governor's goal of universal preschool education for every 3- and 4-year-old across our great state. In an effort to make New Jersey even more affordable and to further incentivize the noble profession of education, Governor Murphy's fiscal year 2024 proposed budget includes a 1-year fee holiday for those individuals seeking to become certified teachers in New Jersey, in addition to a number of other programs proposed to attract and retain educators in our state. I look forward to working with our State Board of Education in the implementation of these and other pivotal initiatives proposed by the governor. I would also like to update you on our New Jersey Partnership for Student Success, which launched at the beginning of December 2022. As we continue to look for 5,000 caring adults by December 2023 to help educators and families address critical educational and mental health challenges exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic. As of this week, we have received approximately 400 volunteer applications from a variety of individuals and organizations to serve as tutors, mentors, student success coaches, wraparound service coordinators, and post-secondary transition coaches. These volunteers will work in close collaboration with parents, educators, and others in roles that research shows result in academic gains, increased high school graduation rates, reductions in chronic absenteeism, and improved student well-being and mental health. I am pleased to note that we are on our way to matching our resources, and those who have signed up received additional correspondence last week. And this is so exciting as we move forward. But I just want to begin to close this segment by highlighting our hashtag Good News in New Jersey Schools segment. I was honored to attend Governor Murphy's preschool expansion event in South Brunswick, where Governor Murphy and the New Jersey Department of Education announced the availability of $120 million in grants to help regular operating districts expand preschool facilities, the first grant of its kind in New Jersey. In addition, the department announced the award of a second round of preschool education aid that provides $114 million to allow 16 more school districts to establish or expand access to high-quality preschool programs this year, as well as an additional $2.6 million to assist 33 school districts with needed startup funding this year. I also had the honor of attending several events across the state in honor of Black History Month. Each of these events I had the pleasure of attending were unique and thought-provoking in their own right. I would like to thank State Board President Kathy Goldenberg and Board Member Sylvia for accompanying me to the Black History Month Jeopardy Assembly at Midtown Community Elementary School in Neptune Township. It was truly phenomenal.
Great.
The department highlighted hashtag Love Teaching Week across our social media platforms this February. Love Teaching Week is celebrated in the United States every year from February 14th through February 21st. The purpose of this week is to raise awareness of the amazing work teachers do and encourage more to pursue careers in education. The department's campaign included a kickoff YouTube video from our 2023 State Teacher of the Year, Christine Gertain, followed by theme graphics featuring sentiments from New Jersey's 21 County Teachers of the Year on why they are passionate about teaching. Finally, I hope you have enjoyed following our social media posts highlighting all of the various Black History Month and Career and Technical Education Month activity during the month of February. This month, March, we look forward to celebrating Women's History Month, and I believe it's Irish American celebration as well for this month, as a time of reflection and celebration of achievements by many other Americans. And I must say, this is also Dr. Seuss's birthday tomorrow, so please mark your calendars on March 2nd as we look forward to advancing through Read Across America activities and engaging from March 2nd to March 6th. And we will be celebrating reading all year and look forward to highlighting New Jersey school celebrations on our social media platforms. As I learn of events in the field, I will share them with board members and ask that you can hopefully join me. And my team as well will be out in the field attending many. And I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge the final meeting of our very own Laura Console, who is our education liaison at the governor's office. Laura, please stand for a round of applause. I know. Been a phenomenal partner. She began at the department and transitioned to support us at the governor's office. And Laura will be departing on March 10th, and she's really going to pinch me for doing this. But Laura, you deserve your flowers, and I just wanted to acknowledge you for your great partnership, and we wish you well. President Goldenberg, that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry I didn't get to meet with you before this, but I'm sure that we will miss you. Thank you for what you've contributed. Thank you very much.
President Goldberg, may I?
Please, sir.
Just want to mention, Commissioner, very exciting listing of achievements, accomplishments, and investments. And just wanted to take a moment to thank Governor Murphy for his investments in public education, his investments in higher education, and certainly expanding early childhood education opportunities. And also, quite frankly, applaud him because he's introduced a budget with no new taxes.
Yes.
And more relief for the middle class. So I'm excited about it, and certainly excited about the additional resources for the department and opportunities to invest in important programs in our public education system. So thank you.
You're very welcome. On behalf of the governor, this is just very exciting times, and I can't contain myself, but I will, President Goldenberg.
It was very exciting at the budget address yesterday. Okay, moving forward then, maybe we could go ahead and discuss the
Item A?
Yes, please, appointments.
Yes, Item A, appointments. Today I present for your consideration one candidate for appointment, and that is Rob Amon for the Director of the Office of Budget and Accounting. President Goldenberg, I return the meeting to you for discussion.
Thank you. We had the opportunity to talk about this in executive, pardon me. I'd like to at this time ask for a motion.
So moved.
Thank you. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you very much. Any discussion at this time? Hearing none. All those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye.
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 Any objections, please indicate by saying nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries. If you'd like to say a few words.
Please come forward, Mr. Amon. Thank you. Oh, yeah, there, fine. Wherever you like to.
I just want to thank the board for, always nervous in front of these. No, I guess just thank you everyone for this opportunity to serve. So, I've been at the department for a while. I'm just a new position, so excited. Thank you.
Just want to also recognize that the department has tremendous amount of talent inside the department. And this is just an example of growing that talent, as the commissioner mentioned earlier, particularly talent that has association with Rutgers University. Newark is even better. So just had to mention that.
Thank you.
Sir, how many years have you been with the Department of Ed?
I've been here for about 9 years.
Very good. We look forward to your.
Are you aware that the commissioner has put together a basketball team for the department? I think that's his expectations.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President. Item B, certification of school districts. I do not have school districts to recommend for certification today, and we'll move to item C. Item C, today in accordance with state statute and regulation, I present for discussion a list of religious holidays permitting student absence from school for the 2023-2024 school year. As in the past, a disclaimer has been included stating some dates may vary due to differences in the lunar, Gregorian, and Julian calendars. Once adopted, the list of religious holidays will be distributed to districts and charter and Renaissance schools and will be posted on the department's website. Dr. Irving, Assistant Commissioner, and Mr. Gregory, Executive Director for the Division of Field Support and Services, are here to discuss changes to this year's list and respond to your questions.
Thank you, Commissioner. And good morning, everyone. Good morning, State Board members, President Goldenberg, Vice President Mulvihill, and the State Board who is assembled. This morning, Mr. Gregory and I are here to discuss NJSA 18A 3614 through 16, which is the list of religious holidays permitting students' absences from schools discussion as a resolution. In accordance with this provision, regarding student absences from school because of religious holidays, the Commissioner of Education, with the approval of the State Board of Education, is charged with the responsibility of prescribing such rules and regulations as we may be necessary to carry out for the purposes of this law. To that end, the list of religious holidays requires districts to excuse students for religious observances upon written request of a parent or guardian. This list of religious holidays is established by resolution and is annually adopted by the State Board of Education. Additionally, this year we plan to include to the list a number of Sikh religious holidays for the 2023-2024 school calendar. The adoption timeline is as follows. We plan to put this forth to the State Board for full adoption on May 3rd, 2023, after the opportunity for public comment. At this point in time, I'll pause there, Commissioner, and take any questions from the State Board if necessary.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Hearing none, we look forward to the communities, excuse me, and our public to send forward any ideas. I'm so sorry.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I'm going to move forward to item D, Chapter 7, Managing for Equality and Equity in Education Proposal. Today I present a proposal level, Chapter 7. This chapter requires school districts, charter schools, and Renaissance school projects to provide equal access to educational activities and programs to all students, regardless of the protected category or class to which they belong. Dr. Irving, Assistant Commissioner, and Mr. Gregory, Executive Director, both for the Division of Field Support and Services, are here to present an overview of the proposed readoption with amendments and new rules and respond to your questions, please.
Thank you, Commissioner. And again, thank you, State Board members, for the work that we have collaboratively done over the last several months. It is our intention to share the proposed readoption with amendments for you today. And it is a belief of Mr. Gregory and myself that the state board, as well as our commissioner and our staff, have engaged what we hope other districts will engage in, which is conversations, rich conversations around educational equity. And I want to commend our commissioner for helping to lead our team as we move through this, and the state board for the work that you'll have done over the last several months. These conversations are not easy by any stretch of the imagination, but they are necessary. And the fact that we have been able to engage in that together in a spirit of collaboration, I think is reflective of what can and should happen in our great state as we move forward. So to clarify the expectations and responsibilities, each Board of Education in providing equal educational access and opportunities to our students. The proposed readoption and amendments are as follows. We have identified definitions and provisions shifting to asset-based language, aligned to applicable laws and nationally recognized evidence-based practices regarding educational equity. In addition, our proposed readoption amendments also include streamlining and consolidating language throughout the chapter for clarity, alignment, and accountability. Also, we want to ensure that equity training in our schools is comprehensive and appropriate to all stakeholders and adequately addresses inequities specific to our local districts. And lastly, we want to remove rules or sections covered under the provision in other laws. At this point in time, President Goldenberg, Commissioner, will stop here for any questions or further discussion.
Thank you. Board members, at this time, do you have comments or questions?
Just a comment. Just a comment, Madam President. Just want to applaud the work of the department. Commissioner, you and your team have done a phenomenal job of balancing this particular chapter in a way that I think, as I mentioned earlier, sets New Jersey apart and continues to add to the notion that New Jersey public education system is a model to be followed by the rest of the country. And you mentioned just in your comments an important point, and that is that you've aligned this work to national best practice and evidence-based strategies. And sometimes we lose sight of that there's a lot of evidence out there that tells us that we are on the right track, that we can adopt strategies that have been effective in other communities. We talk about leading public education systems and you know the processes, the strategies that they're implementing and working within communities. You know, just utilizing and leveraging that information to improve upon public education in the state of New Jersey is an important practice to continue to follow. And whether it's, you know, our general public schools that are implementing, again, strategies that have been evidence-based, or learning from the work within our charter school community as well, and the success that they have demonstrated. Again, there's a lot of evidence here that would tell us that we are on the right track. And I just want to thank you for being true to that evidence and doing the work necessary to ensure that we are aligned to these best practices, certainly to the law, and to addressing the concerns of the state board. And again, putting forth a chapter that I believe to be balanced, true to our mission as a state. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Kathy, could I speak?
Other comments? Questions?
Kathy, this is
I'll
Ron.
go. First, I want to thank Julie Blunt for getting the equity education right, at the equity definition right. We talked about, I was concerned about it in the last chapter 9. You said you get it right in chapter 7. I want to thank you for being true to your word and getting that right. I think that's wonderful. I do have some concerns, though. This isn't really a concern, it's just an observation. I know the law requires us to have an affirmative action officer, both from the federal and state mandates. But I think we need to keep our eye on the ball there, because I know that issue's in front of the Supreme Court right now. And we may want to make some moves based upon what the results is of what the Supreme Court has to say. I mean, if they outlaw it, I don't know how smart it would be for us to be defining it as such. So just something to keep an eye on. I've expressed this concern before. I'll express it again. On page 5, in the section defining equitable educational opportunities, I'm not comfortable with blaming discrimination as the cause of the achievement gap, because it does there. And while certainly it's a factor, there's no doubt, I don't think it's the root cause in my estimation. And I think it's simply our failure to run good schools in areas that serve minorities. And I'm just not comfortable being part of a document that pushes that narrative. And I don't know that if it's intentional or just kind of a throwaway comment, but I'm not comfortable with that. We've seen the charter schools that serve minorities are outperforming the state average. We see that Asians, who are terribly discriminated against, actually score better than whites on standardized tests. So blaming the achievement gap on discrimination as much as it does here, I'm just not comfortable. Maybe we could reword that. I know we're going to go to proposal, but I'm just telling you my concerns and why I'm not going to support this today. And the last thing, which is difficult, is on page 14, it says that when we teach about human sexuality, the state requires, when we teach about human sexuality in the regs, it says that if you choose to break students up into groups, you can, under these regs, and it only can be done based on gender identity, not on biological sex. And there are laws, which I was educated on, which I was not, I was familiar with a law on discrimination, but I wasn't familiar with a law that specifically talks about this exact subject. And it's quite clear that it speaks to when you break children up into groups and teaching about such topics that need to provide gender identity. And so we want to be in compliance with that law. But I would tell you that there is the law about discrimination, and it talks about sexes. And it talks about that you can't discriminate based on sex. And my position, and I've gotten some legal advice on this, is that if you are separating children by gender identity, not by sex, to talk about these very difficult topics, that you're discriminating against girls and boys. I think that, I don't know, I've observed that I've talked to quite a few teachers and principals about this, that it's easier for some to talk about this when they're all boys together and all girls together, and making these adjustments to accommodate the kids that we love and that we should protect and we should care about, kids that have issues with gender identity. I'm all for like doing what we can to help those kids, but we also got to make sure we don't discriminate these other kids as well. And I think this does. And I think that, I mean, that we got almost 1,000 comments from people that agree with me. So I am really at a loss here on precisely what's the right thing to do, other than I know that I can't support this the way it's drafted. So those, I'm sorry, I'm not offering my fellow board members a solution to this problem, but I think it is a problem. And, you know, I think just saying, look, this law requires this particular provision. Well, there's another law that requires protection of students, and I don't know that we've got it right here. I'm not looking actually for any any advice or theories. I'm just, you know, putting forth what I've heard from my constituents and some of my thoughts on that. I'm certainly welcome to hear any comments then. Thank you. Not an easy topic, you're right.
Please, I think the commissioner would like to respond.
Yes, so I thank both of the board members who have shared their perspectives. And I want to begin by saying that the process that we have in place that does afford the opportunity to voice your own informed perspective is greatly valued. And this is something that I think makes us America. And so how enriching it is for us to have an opportunity to sit and hear different perspectives. And as most recently Vice President Mulvihill stated, that we are bound by the law. And so with our NJ GLAD legislation, we are very clear of how we have evolved over time to ensure that student self-identification is embraced and is paramount as we move to be in accord with what is current, with what is now, with what is needed. And we respect the viewpoint of all of those who have submitted their feedback via the comment period and welcome that. And I must acknowledge, did you want to say? Oh, I just must acknowledge that in our attempts to include everyone, we want to also be careful to not minimize the fact that every student has voice, and that if a student is uncomfortable, the student has the right and is encouraged to connect with caring adults in that environment. But also, I just must caveat it by stating that to support advancement isn't to negate others. And I know there was reference to other groups, the Asian groups, and we disaggregate data to better understand how our students are performing, but not to weaponize that and have them posited against one another. So I just encourage everyone within the sound of my voice to understand that societies evolve and we are evolving as humans, and we have a responsibility to allow our local educational agencies to respond to the law and set up structures that support students in their communities. Having had the privilege to visit school communities and hear from students and administrators and teachers who have predated our current work, who have made shifts in bathrooms to have a unisex bathroom where one individual can go in at a time to feel most comfortable in the learning environment, is what we support, is what we want. And it leads to better outcomes, high school graduation rates increasing, chronic absenteeism decreasing, higher test scores, and most importantly, better mental health. So I wanted to tie it all together to say that we support the mental health of all of our students. And I'm going to end by saying this. There was a time where my presence would not have been welcomed in different environments. And I acknowledge that, and I embrace the advances that our society has made and will continue to make. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I just like to remind everyone, from my own perspective, we have to be inclusive of everyone. And that includes that all the students need to be protected, not just the majority, but every student. And I think that that's important to always remember, that our hearts and our care actually aligns with the law to do just that. So I think that we have other board members who'd like to speak. Please, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Madam President. First of all, I always greatly appreciate Vice President Mulvihill's points of views. I have great respect for Vice President Mulvihill, and I think he knows that. But also, Commissioner, thank you for your articulation of a wonderful response to the concerns and questions. Just want to mention that I agree with Andy in terms of the achievement gap. It is complex. And I think the chapter tries to recognize, it uses, certainly language that tries to identify or really describe that complexity. And issues around discrimination is one factor. And so it is complex. And I'm hoping that we continue just to push forward and try to address the achievement gaps, because as the commissioner mentioned, because one community is doing well doesn't mean that that applies to the other communities. And certainly each community has its own history, its own challenges, and therefore we need to address them and ensure that those communities are getting the resources they need to be successful. And then secondly, and Vice President Mulvihill and I had a discussion earlier where I mentioned I believe this chapter is not perfect, as with any other chapter, but I do believe it's fair and balanced. And so from that perspective, Madam President, I'm going to support a motion to move this forward.
Thank you very much. Would anyone else like to speak at this time?
I just want to add one more thing. I should have thanked the commissioner for doing something that I think, taking a big step, I think it was last month and the month before, to close an achievement gap, and that was the approval of a number of charter school expansions. And having those schools that are so successful in our underserved areas be able to expand, the ones that are doing really well, I think is a wonderful thing. And I want to thank you, Commissioner, for you and your staff for approving those additional seats. I know there's a lot of things involved in it. Some might say some politics are involved, but I think you did the right thing, and I want to thank you dearly for doing that. I think it's going to make a big difference in a lot of children's lives, so thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Kathy, this is Ron. Can you hear me?
I see. I'm just going to weigh in also. I'd like to thank certainly the department for all of the conversations we've had and our fellow board members. We've had some really hard conversations on this, but the chapter is imperfect. And maybe we need to have more conversations. I wish I could support all of this, but I can't either. There are, it is so important to get these things right. It's so important to make sure that we take the time to make sure that we want all kids to have opportunities and we want all kids to be comfortable. And these are very difficult topics, very difficult. I think we've made progress. I think, we're hearing a lot of things, but I can't support this as it is yet. I can't go to bed at night and say, yeah, I did the right thing voting for this. The portions of class that deal with human sexuality, that's very difficult topics for young people. And when we're talking about social, emotional learning and health and well-being, I think we need to really continue the conversations and figure out how to do that. A young girl who is dealing with the topics of menstruation and things is going to be more comfortable in a class of biologically of her peers that are biologically girls. And when we talk about discrimination, is it really fair to them? And how can we come up with something that's going to make it so that all kids feel comfortable with some of the most important topics we need to teach in our schools? So I really do appreciate the depth that we have all gone to on this topic, but at this time I cannot support it either.
Point of clarification, Madam President, when we approve, or if this proposal is approved, it doesn't end the conversation. It continues the conversation. So it allows for more input, and it'll come back to us. And I'm looking at Diane Schoner. Could you please describe that for the public, just to make sure that we all understand that today's decision is not to end the conversation? So in fact, we'll get more information from the general public. Thank you.
And when does it come back for formal?
60 days.
60 days from now?
Yeah, 60.
From the date of
Yeah.
publishing.
Okay. I see that we have Board Member Bobro's hand up for discussion, if she would like to comment at this time.
If I can get this to work. Yes, I would. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good. Thank you. If there's one thing I'm not, it's technical. There's a lot that we are not considering that I think is very important. I can start by telling you that I'm in favor of the resolution, so we can get that out of the way. But there is a background of things that are happening in our culture which is dividing us, and it's dividing us in very, very bad ways. There's a lack of feeling of safety in our environments. Part of it has to do with the plethora of arms that's available, and more than just the availability, but the fact that people have no problem in using them at the slightest instigation. Children are killing children. this thing is it's just a very unsafe world. And so we look to try to find a way to make people comfortable, to help them to improve, to understand each other. Now, I will tell you that as I taught for many years in a community college, and I worked with people who really needed the help. And I found, though, that people in my classes were much more understanding of the differences between people than the generation that preceded them. And so I think that maybe and I'm saying maybe here, our concerns are overblown in that the students will find a way to work it out. There was an article yesterday in the things that Stephanie sent out that talked about a group in Princeton and that they wanted to have changing rooms and so forth that were communal. I don't know what's going to happen there. That's up to them. But the thing is, I think children are different nowadays, and what they're scared of is different also. And I think we need to take a stand. Is there a racial implication with all of this? Of course there is. But on the other hand, there are other things that go on because individual students have needs to be able to be met in order to be able to be successful in education. And we have to be able to think in all of these levels. It's not just one single level. I think that truthfully, if we find we have problems, we will go right back to the drawing board again, because we're not going to sit there and let the state fall apart. So we are open to that as things go on, but we also have to think in terms of what we can do to try to make life safer, better, and more fulfilling for the students who are part of our responsibility. And so, as I said at the beginning of my comments, I am in favor of this act.
If we have you didn't mean to have. Okay. We'll continue.
Yeah.
Dr. Butcher, are you prepared to speak at this time?
Come on,
Yes,
Arcel,
yeah, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
First, let me say, Annie, Mary Beth, these are extremely difficult subjects to be talking about and difficult deliberations. And I want to go back to what Arcilio just said, that I do look forward to this continuing the conversation and us having the ability to hear and deliberate further from those that have input on this topic. However, that being said, to oversimplify the case, when you're sitting on top of the fence and you have to make a decision to go one way or the other, and you don't have the opportunity to stay on top of that fence, when I'm looking at making a decision here, I have to again go back to what Arcilio had to say and what the commissioner had to say, particularly Arcilio's comment about how we're looking at the national evidence and we tend to be going down the right path here, and we're on that right track. I really do realize how controversial this is, how critical it is, but at this point, I'm siding with the commissioner and appreciate the commissioner's comment, particularly in reference to us needing to do what's legal in this matter and comply with the laws. So I just wanted to go onto the record to say that I will be supporting this initiative. Thank you.
Sure. Am I live? Yes. Thank you, Dr. Butcher. I don't know if any other board members.
Just a final comment, Madam President. And again, I hope that my fellow board members are comfortable in knowing that, as I mentioned, this is not the end of the discussion. By allowing us to move forward and approving this proposal continues the conversation, allows us to gain further input from the public and empower us to make a better decision when it comes back to us. So, Madam President, if I may, I'd like the motion to...
I think we have one other board member, I'm being told, who wanted to add to this discussion, and that is Mr. Fernaro. Is that correct, Jack? You're muted.
We can't hear you, Jack.
I'd also like to remind the public at this time that Jack, you must unmute yourself to be heard. Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Thank you. You got it.
I believe that this issue should be held off for the next board meeting, and we have a little more time to go through this and make a decision where all the board members can vote in unity rather than have different members vote one way or the other. I think we should vote on this 100%, but I think we should hold off for at least until the next board meeting. That's my recommendation. Thank you.
Are you making a motion?
Yes.
Can't do that. And Madam President,
Okay,
I motion
but if
to...
I could, I'm sorry. What,
I motion to approve this proposal. You have a motion on the floor.
I do have a motion on the table to approve this from Board Member Aponte. I was just going to add a thought on my own that we've got to do what's best for every child, and that doesn't mean leaving behind people, and it doesn't mean we should close the door. And one of the protections that are applied by the law is to make sure that all students get the opportunities that they need so that they can mature into adults and have the same opportunities, no matter their zip code, but to make sure that they get the same rights. And that's my thought on all of this. So I have a motion on the table for this vote to go forward. I need a second.
So second.
Second.
Thank you, Sylvia. Sylvia has seconded it. I think we should do a roll call vote. So if I could ask Director Schoner to call on.
But you're going to have to ask them to raise their hands to vote because of the way the microphone system is. You have to keep going back and forth.
That's fine.
So in that case, if we're going to have to show hands, I think if you would like to vote no, you should raise one hand. If you'd like to vote yes, you raise two. If we can see their hands well, sure. Okay.
Kathy, can we just clarify? We're voting on the motion that Jack just presented.
I'm sorry.
Restated.
So all those in favor, thank you, Vice President Mulvihill. We're going to go ahead and do a roll call vote. I would like to ask upon Director Schoner to call out our names, and then we will vote. Thank you very much.
Is it thumbs up?
It's thumbs up if the answer is yes, you approve. It's thumbs down if you are saying no, you do not want this to be considered and selected. So thank you. To my members of the board who are hybrid at this point, did everyone understand it's thumbs up if you're voting yes? Can you give me a thumb if you hear me? Thank you. And it's thumbs down if it's no. Okay.
An enthusiastic thumbs up.
Mrs. Bobrove, are you voting? You're voting down?
Can't hear Diane.
That's what she just indicated.
I think you should ask her.
Yeah, because she just said
Did, Mrs. Board Member Bobrov, if you can
Yep.
hear me. If you're voting for this, it's up. If you're voting against this, it's down.
It's down.
She's down?
Yes.
She just said she's voting for it. It just doesn't
Thank
make
you.
sense. Could you,
It's
Clarify
not
what we're
she
voting on,
indicated,
please.
But
Clarify what we're voting on.
Is she saying she can't hear you? Is that why she's doing the thumbs down?
this is ridiculous.
Yeah. Can we take our time and go back to the volume? It's worth it. We have to
It's
do the
worth it
volume.
to hear individuals.
We have to.
Okay. Let me try this by voice. I vote against the resolution to postpone until the next meeting.
Elaine, they're voting on the resolution. I think that's what we need to clarify.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Dr.
I vote
Butcher, we are
against the,
voting for the proposal as it is written, either for it or against it.
right. And I vote against it.
The proposal as written.
Elaine, we're voting on the proposal.
Here.
We're voting to
Here.
Elaine, we're voting on the proposal. We're voting to move it forward at publication. So are you voting in favor of the regulations or voting not in favor of the regulations?
I'm voting in favor of moving it forward today.
You're voting in favor of moving it forward today.
Right. I don't want to hold, I am not voting to put it off for the next meeting.
Thank you, Elaine.
that's right, that's right.
Gotta fix this.
I got it.
But, I mean,
It's fine. Keep going, Diane, please.
Thank you. Dr. Butcher.
In favor, move it forward.
Thank you, Dr. Butcher. I'm good. I think now. Mr. Finero.
I vote to put it off for the next meeting. For more discussion.
Mr. Finero, that's not on the table. You're
What's on the
either voting
table?
in favor of the proposal or you're voting no.
No.
Thank you. Mrs. Gazy. Mrs. Gazy, we cannot hear you.
Muted.
I said, as it is currently written, my vote is no. Dr. Johnson and Mr. Rick are not here. Mrs. Sylvia?
Yes.
Coffey. Thank you. Mr. Mulvihill?
No.
Mrs. Goldenberg?
Yes.
One, two, three, four. You have 5 yeses, 1, 2, 3, 4 noes. Your proposal passes.
And I think that as we go forward, again, as Arcilio has stated, this isn't, we can keep amending and working on this, and we are doing so in accordance with the law as well as with everything else. So.
And thank you, Madam Goldenberg. I asked for the board's consideration that perfection not be the enemy of progress, and that we continue to embrace progress, and that we also trust the teachers, the educators, the parents to get it right locally. It's one perspective to say in our seats what students may think or feel, but our children are very resilient. They've demonstrated that. They are embracing, and I have to acknowledge that when we have students who identify in new ways over the course of time, their peers are typically very receptive. And so this isolated incident of having health classes taught is truly, I'm going to say, more atypical than typical. They're in classes all day. They engage in communities. So I just want to add some color to the life experience of our students, as opposed to some of the shock value that has been described outside of this room about students interacting with one another. And I thank the State Board for always engaging in courageous conversation, and I look forward to continuing this in the coming months. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Also, just want to thank Mr. Irving and Mr. Gregory for all the work on this.
Absolutely.
and the work to come, because again, as I mentioned, we have a lot more work ahead of us.
Thank you. President Goldenberg?
Okay. Moving forward, I believe that unless there is new business at this time, I believe, Mary Berry, you contacted me about new business.
No, that was, I just actually wanted to thank the commissioner for reaching out to the board. I had raised a question about the young people who are on the autism spectrum and how the department was being proactive as there is an increase, a sharp increase in that number of young people and how we're addressing them. So much more conversation still to have on that, but I do appreciate that the department and the commissioner got back to us with some information.
Thank you so much. I want to acknowledge Assistant Commissioner Kathy Ailing and her division for that comprehensive response. Thank you.
Thank you. If there's nothing else at this time, I would like to, anything else from our hybrid individuals? Seeing no hands, Ron, your hand is up. Did you have anything?
That was up from before.
Please let me know, board members, if NASB positions interest you at this time. I'd like to get back to them within the next week or two. So think about it. It's once a month for 1 hour remote opportunities to be participatory in this endeavor. And I'd like to thank everyone for their time today and everyone for their thoughtfulness. And thank you for coming to our meeting. For those of you who made it in and who were watching from the public, we appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Pardon me, like to have a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Thank you, Vice President Mulvihill. May I please have a second?
Second.
Thank you very much, Mary Beth Berry. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries. That was from the audience.
We have to get the